Well, hello, and it's a pleasure to be here speaking before you remotely from Alaska to the Sixth World One Health Congress. Thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you today. My name is Eric Boyer, and I'm a Master's of Public Health student here at the University of Alaska Anchorage. And today I'd like to discuss with you some strategies for improving access to health care in the circumpolar north. This talk today, I'm going to give you a little bit of context of, I think, where we've come in the last 75 years in the circumpolar areas. Of course, country to country, that'll look a little different. But that'll set the stage for talking to you about a few of the strategies that I see have some real potential. My focus will be coming to you from Alaska. But I think many of the things that are working here can be generalizable to other Arctic countries. So with that, let's begin. So when we look at approaches to how to increase access to healthcare, I think several strategies will become real apparent as I talk through them. So where we've come, if you think about the circumpolar north and the countries that make up this part of the world, there's really been unprecedented change when we just look at the last 75 years. And those are social, economic, cultural, technological changes, and environmental, specifically climate change. And all of these have had positive and negative impacts on the people who live there and the people that have migrated and moved into these countries. So when we look at that, historically speaking, there was disease patterns like tuberculosis, acute respiratory infections, and those have really improved over the years from a public health standpoint of more modern medicine, better sanitation, things that have really improved, I think, the economic standpoint of many of these countries. But then, on the flip side, when we think about the disease culture changing, public health speaking, some things have gotten worse, and really that maybe not even were a part of some of those communities. Things like diabetes and cardiovascular disease, stroke, suicide, substance use disorders, interpersonal violence. And these things really, if you think, from a social perspective, they really kind of dovetail together. One really impacts the others. And when you mix behavioral health issues with physical issues, there can be a real negative impact there. And so when we think about, changes, I mentioned the climate change and the warming of the Arctic, thinking about how that's impacted the migrations of animals from the land and sea. That's changed some of the food web patterns, and people have migrated in. So there's been lots of changes in the food, more of a westernized, and when you think about Alaska, westernized food, and a lot of those aren't nutrient dense. They don't have a lot of the health values that a lot of the traditional foods held. And so with that have come obesity issues and less physical activity, less reliance on those traditional foods. And we kind of see that more westernized junk food taking hold. And that's really accelerated, I think, some of those diseases that I mentioned. And along with that, the changing culture have been a loss to some of the traditional cultures. There's been people moving in and oppression from that and acculturation. And these things have affected the emotional stability, I think, of the people there, and some of the, reliance they've had on their culture and their relationships. And so we really see that having an impact as well. And, the populations have, shifted when we think about the dynamics of that. People moving from more southern regions in, and that has changed some of the patterns from kind of the smaller communities to larger cities that have popped up, and that has an impact as well. So real quickly, that just kind of gives a backdrop for where we're at in the last few years into today. And so the strategies I'm going to talk about will wrap around kind of technology and how that can increase access and support, thinking about our healthcare workforce, some cross-training and the benefits of that, and then we'll get into some of the telemedicine capabilities. So when we think about technology, we think about circumpolar countries, Alaska, case in point, just like millions of square miles of vast, Arctic region. It's really difficult and expensive to get resources from point A to point B. So part of the success, I think, of some of the change in recent times has been the increase in the broadband internet. Here in Alaska, we have a company that started here that's called GCI, and they spent a lot of money, and they built a network called the Terra Network, which actually connects 84 villages throughout western Alaska, which we call the YK, which is the two rivers that make up western Alaska, the Yukon and the Kuskokwim. And that region, if you think about the United States, it's a region that's larger than the state of Oregon, but there's only 25,000 people that live there. So it's a vast region. And this network has given the ability for villages, the clinics and hub hospitals that have been connected to not only provide telemedicine, but also to move them into the age of electronic health records. And electronic health records is something that's been, really coming about in the last decade. And the benefits of that are immeasurable, because that really solidifies a day and time and a current record that can be shared amongst providers and really helps with treatment planning and follow-up, and that record's something that follows along with that person and their support network. So it really makes for more efficient outcomes and efficacy of the providers. So having that has really, I think, increased that access to care. And then when you take that kind of technology and you start adding in the applications that have really been coming out, apps that can go on Androids and iPhones, along with tablets and computers. Some of the ones that are just coming out in the last few years that are being piloted in, I think, Arctic regions, but Alaska specifically. Mativo is one that allows supervisory clinicians in other parts of the world to provide that supervision to practitioners here in Alaska that need that to stay licensed and stay current with best practices. So that's one that I think is really good. And that helps with supervision. But when there's a doctor or a nurse practitioner or a clinician who needs to consult with somebody that's a specialist in a specific field that doesn't exist here in Alaska, the one that's mentioned there, Rubicon MD, that is a practitioner-to-practitioner consult. And that is that actual app was originated here in the United States, and it actually has 300 practitioners in this group that actually provide that. So that's a real support. And then the DSP Hire app was a homegrown app here in Alaska that connects providers to be able to get direct service professionals. Those are the people that work with folks in the community every day, to be able to have a way to apply and get hired and network with other organizations. So a lot of movement there. And what has really helped accelerate that are technology accelerators. Those are hubs that their job is to connect healthcare organizations with technology so that that communication happens. And those are things that have actually really, I think, moved the healthcare industry along in our country. And Alaska is just now really moving along with that. So kind of moving to the next stage is cross-training. This, when you think about cross-training in the healthcare industry, it's all about Alaska. We're far removed from universities that have medical hospitals and teaching medical schools. So because of that, we really need to network our organizations and provide cross-training that fits the needs of our people. And so that's bringing together entities and people so that they understand cultural humility on the one hand, but also best practices on the other. And so you see a lot of cross-training in the villages, in the hubs. They have community health practitioners, they have behavioral health practitioners, dental aid practitioners, and they do a lot of cross-training so that they can all work together on providing a more robust treatment plan. And then to support that, you need policy and regulations that help move telemedicine. And here in Alaska, we just in the last legislative session, Representative Ivy Sponholz got House Bill 29, which is increasing insurance support of telemedicine. So those are the kind of things that have really kind of advanced telemedicine, which relies on that technology and having a network of broadband to be able to support that. And then the last strategy I wanted to mention is just the capabilities of telemedicine itself. Being able to link professionals all over, not just Alaska, but the circumpolar north and the world. A great example, we just got a network with some medical professionals who are working on specific modalities of heart disease, and they've developed this in Pakistan, and we're able to network with them and get expertise here. So, I mean, that's where technology breaks down some of those barriers and walls in our world. And I've mentioned the broadband internet. Collaborations is a big part of that, where tribal entities, government, local government, federal government, they come together to really work on that. And I mention insurance as part of that because Premera Blue Cross Blue Shield is a big insurance company, but they have, in the last couple of years, put millions of dollars into Alaska's economy to support healthcare access. And so that is a positive. And then through our tribal corporations and our universities here in Alaska, we're doing ECHO clinics, which stands for the Extension for Community Healthcare Outcomes. It's where you're kind of a hub and spoke model where you're bringing together experts to reach out to primary care clinics and community healthcare clinics around the state to network expertise. Maybe somebody has a history of brain trauma, and so they can network with providers in Anchorage or Seattle to get the expertise they need to be able to treat somebody in their community of residence. So those are just some examples that I think improved access. And here's my contact information. I please welcome you to contact me at the University of Alaska Anchorage, and then some of the references I've had. So thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to talking with all of you at a future date. Thank you.